let's start with the events that took place in the United States over the weekend. Thousands of soldiers marched through Washington, D.C. in what was an incredibly powerful military parade commemorating the US Army's 250th anniversary. Spectators lined the streets and President Trump praised the bravery of American troops.
Because our soldiers never give up, never surrender, and never, ever quit. They fight, 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 and they win, win, win.
And this really was a celebration with so much American pride. Look at those smiles. But this came as a shock to the hosts and reporters on MSNBC because they were ready to report that this military parade celebrating veterans and active duty service members would have a dark, malevolent energy.
I want to go back to you, Ali, that again, when we talk about the sort of tension in the country, and sometimes, you know, you and I have both been at Trump rallies, those could be, you know, very tense, a kind of, I would say, like kind of a dark, malevolent energy sometimes in them. Not always, but it doesn't seem like that's the energy on the mall today, which I think is a good sign, right?
Correct. That you're really correct about that, Chris, and it's something we were watching for.
But MSNBC still managed to criticise it, complaining about the cost, and Jen Psaki reported on what she apparently knows what Donald Trump is really thinking.
Our President Donald Trump spoke after a massive and massively expensive military parade in Washington, D.C., ostensibly to honor the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States Army, which is, of course, an honorable thing. But as we all know, that was not what was really in his head. He was really doing this to celebrate his 79th birthday, which is also today. And you can go ahead and put that in the category of not at all normal, which I think is important to shout out as often as we can.
Yeah, the leftist media want you to freak out that this coincided with the president's birthday. Not normal, as Jen Psaki put it. But what about the coverage on other networks? Well, NBC News featured Senator Ron Paul to trash a parade that boosts America's morale.
You know, I'm all for the president appearing and doing enlistment ceremonies at military bases. I've been with the president at Dover to receive home our dead soldiers, and so those who have been killed in action, and to mourn their loss. But I just never liked the idea of the parade, because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and the only parades I can remember are Soviet parades for the most part, or North Korean parades. But we never glorified weapons so much. And I know he means well. I don't think he means for any of this to be depicted in another fashion, but I'm just not a big fan. And then there is the cost. I mean, we're $2 trillion in the hole, and just an additional cost like this, I'm not for it.
Well, while patriotic Americans gathered to honour troops, those who seem to hate America took part in protests in major cities, and this time protesting against Donald Trump in what they call a No Kings protest, which is pretty ridiculous, seeing as Donald Trump is not a king. But here are some protesters. Well, they were seen flying the American flag upside down in a clear show of disrespect to the US military, while others were proudly waving the flags of other countries. Just like we saw during the LA riots, these protesters seem to have the full support of the mainstream media. CBS put out a piece apparently essentially advertising where these protesters could get a discount on No King's Day merchandise. The headline reads, "No King's Day merch on sale on Amazon, Temu and other e-commerce sites." Thank you, CBS, for not even trying to hide what side you're on and how much you apparently hate Donald Trump. Perhaps some of their journalists might want to join this guy.
We were just talking about this morning. No! Bad boy! Bad! No!
That is a pretty severe case of TDS.